November 18th, 2025. Well, it looks like that yesterday that Trump had another win in that the UN Security Council, I guess, has approved his peace plan for Gaza. And it's a 20-point plan, and it will involve, I guess, bringing in international peacekeeping forces to control the area. And a board of peace will supposedly govern it, headed up by President Trump. And apparently this got through the Security Council, although it was opposed by Hamas, which I don't think gets a vote. But it turns out that Russia and China abstained, so they didn't veto it, perhaps in order to not further antagonize Trump. And it passed, and so we'll see what happens on that. Of course, there's a little ways to go on that because for the moment you still have a heavily armed Hamas hiding in tunnels and actually coming out of tunnels now in the public, who really have the firepower in the area pretty much, as the Israeli military is pulled back to certain zones which are basically out of the populated areas. So we'll have to see how this goes when this international force tries to go in there. A fair amount of survival food and stuff has been flowing in under the U.S. policy there. And we'll have to see just exactly what happens. The whole place has been devastated by the last 2 years of fighting, obviously, and therefore it'll be quite interesting to see how that will be handled. I mean, you have a tremendous number of homeless people there, and of course the Hamas doesn't want to give up power easily. So this will be worth following closely to see how things develop. Hamas has managed to survive the Israeli army's 2-year campaign, I guess, although with heavy losses, to say the least, and a lot of suffering on their population, which they seem to not care that much about when it really comes down to it. But now this international force will presumably not be met with as much opposition, but I'm very suspicious that the Hamas will actually gleefully surrender their weapons or anything. So we probably have some more issues to come. If you like these videos, please give me a like. Click the bell for notifications after you subscribe, and you can follow me on Rumble if you'd prefer that site. Yeah, that's a big event there, and we'll have to continue to follow developments. On the Comey case, on the other hand, maybe somewhat of a setback, as the judge has made some negative rulings against the prosecution and have required the prosecution to turn over grand jury materials to the defense, which probably will help them with their case. I don't know whether the case will be dismissed, and if it was dismissed, will be upheld by appellate courts. But the whole thing, is going to have a little bit of trouble if you end up with liberal judges, because they're going to see this as kind of a retribution. Although, really, I think, in an objective sense, Comey does deserve to be taken down a peg for the things he did. He did a lot of bad politicization of the FBI, and while whatever one thinks of the whole Trump case and the thing, his behavior was also reprehensible. For that matter, even Hillary Clinton is pretty much opposed to him. So it isn't. but whether or not they can actually nail him for perjury or not, we'll wait and see. It'll probably depend on certain technicalities and maybe the biases of judges and so forth. So that's kind of how things develop. One thing else I want to mention is it looks like my last video had more reaction than we normally get. I was. Normally, I don't get that many comments. One is a big one, but this time we got several, and most of them were hostile. I think one was favorable, but at least that one I gave a like to, I think, was replying negatively to one that was quite hostile. and of course, now things have changed a little bit as Trump has now pivoted and has joined the movement to go ahead and pass the bill to release all the information on the Epstein file, which had been previously, held under grand jury secrecy. And of course, it's kind of interesting how the Democrats didn't do anything on this at all when they had full control for 4 years. And now, of course, they think they've got something. But my opinion is they probably don't have anything. Because what I think you're going to find out is that there may or may not be, there may be some things in there that Trump probably did find embarrassing, maybe, or at least not favorable. But I don't think it's going to be anything criminal or impeachable or anything that's going to change the ultimate outcome. Because I really don't think his interest was ever in the underage girl scene. I think he was, in so much as he was active in those olden days, he was interested in mature women, I think, more or less. I mean mature in the sense of ones who were clearly of age and of consent and all that stuff. So I think, let's look at the people that previously have been brought up as suggested people now. So this is going to be, I think that interesting. Now that this will turn out to be kind of a bust for the Democrats with a lot of disappointment, I think. Meanwhile, Trump is now using this as a pretext now to go off and investigate a bunch of Democrats who were involved with Epstein, and who knows again what they will come up with. But I suspect that they may have more of a problem ultimately than Trump will. So anyhow, that's kind of. We'll just see how that plays out. I put out my opinion. They think I don't know what I'm talking about, but I think I do, because I'm following logic here. Now, another thing I'll mention, since we're kind of into other things besides the serious geopolitical stuff I normally discuss, I would like to mention that I've been following this ongoing case that occurred several months ago with this actress Sydney Sweeney and her jeans ad, which the Democrats then concocted this ridiculous attack that somehow it was some kind of a white supremacist statement or something, which obviously it wasn't. And then we had this GQ interview where she kind of just blew off the questioner and didn't back off at all on anything. I would point out that if Beyonce did a Levi's ad, and if Levi's had chosen to have used the same kind of pitch to say that Beyonce has great genes, I don't think anybody would have made it as some kind of a black supremacist argument. So it just shows how lame that is and how lame Democrats and liberals are and the nonsense they put out all the time. So now latest thing apparently is that she still has an ongoing contract with American Eagle Outfitters, and the next pitch is basically another set of signature jeans, I guess. And now the proceeds of those jeans will go to some kind of a effort to a kind of a hotline for teens in distress or whatever. And so that'll be interesting to see how that actually plays out. It seems like she's kind of just continuing the approach of kind of stiffing them all. And of course, from American Eagle Outfitters, their stock is still up over where it was before this original campaign came out. Well, pending, of course, any potential market corrections that might affect the market as a whole. But for the moment, yes. And then the next thing, of course, is those signature jeans will probably sell out quickly. And of course, this brings people in to buy other products there, which aren't dedicated to any particular charity. So they'll make out pretty good on it too. I just thought that was kind of interesting to me that they would try to pick and attack somebody like this. And now there's another thing about one of her co-stars in that TV series she was in is apparently upset or something. So we'll see what that leads to. But I thought that was an interesting, kind of on the lighter side of things, but still interesting to me because it shows you what the left does and the nonsense they promote. So at any rate, I'll be wrapping this up for now. And as always, I'll be posting this on YouTube and Rumble, and the addresses of my social media accounts are in the description below. So all for now.